Sotomayor, the Chief Justice Sotomayor, one of the Supreme Court justices, she told him just like it is.
That's right.
Sitting up there pretending that now racism don't exist.
And there's Clarence Thomas.
Oh, y'all, brother. Oh, brother. You said that, I didn't.
Yeah.
All right, folks, how telling and how sad, gentlemen, as we welcome back Peter Morici and Kevin Jackson to the panel. How sad and telling that the host of a radio show on the, what's it called, the new Black Panther Network or something, has to say in response to remarks made by a congressman, you said that, I didn't. Because Congressman Bernie Thompson called Clarence Thomas an Uncle Tom. And he called McConnell, the minority leader of the Senate, racist. And he did other things, too. Kevin, I mean, this is just outrageous. But I haven't seen this anywhere. I've had CNN on all day. I haven't seen it. Oh, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. I hear you now. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, the left has to come up with a much more creative way to refer to black conservatives besides Uncle Tom, because it's beginning to get pretty old on that. I don't know what you're finding so enlightening here. Look, the guy's on a station where he's got to throw red meat to the audience. So throwing away one of the best and brightest black men in the country, men in general, but certainly if we're going to make it cultural, black men in the country, is par for the course. What's interesting about Clarence Thomas and Condoleezza Rice and any other black that has an R in front of their name, if they were to take the R away, these very same people would be celebrating Clarence Thomas. And that just goes to show you how ignorant the left is. They are so hung up on this ideology. They're so hung up on this ideology versus just saying, hey, look, this is a good guy. We may disagree with how he's doing things or why he's voting the way that he is, but he's suddenly an Uncle Tom.
Yeah, and you know, we had on yesterday, Kevin, we had an openly gay Republican candidate who's running in the 5-8 CD in California. He's currently on the San Diego City Council, and he told us that he's getting pushback and horrific things said about him, photoshopping him, putting his head on vulgar figures, and it's coming from people who call themselves progressives.
Right,
because just like I guess you can't be black if you're conservative, you can't be Hispanic if you're conservative, you're not a real woman if you're conservative, I guess you're not a real gay if you're conservative.
Yeah, but you know the problem, Steve, is it's not their fault, it's our fault. We allow people to set the narrative on who we are and what we are. We are not concerned about homophobia on the right. The overwhelming majority, particularly anybody under 50 that's a conservative, that's the last thing on your brain. You've been conditioned to see gay people, gay couples, gay whatever, walking around. You see them on TV. We are conditioned. We don't care. We don't care. Women have been in charge of men in our generation for decades. It's not something new. It isn't like we're watching an episode of Mad Men. All the things that they talk about are things that don't exist, but we never put our message on the other side. Blacks believe Tea Party's bad. Blacks believe Republican bad, conservative bad, racist, misogynistic, homophobic, etc. And because there's one echo chamber of ignorance that speaks to them, and we never do.
No, you're absolutely right. That's a very good point. But you know, this comes on the heels of the whole NBA situation. But you know, this to me is just as racist. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about the NBA situation. Let's talk about that for a second. You've got a guy who personally made a racist comment. I can tell you, 80-year-old black people make far worse comments about whites than that man ever did about blacks. I guarantee you that, because I've heard it in my own family.
But here's what they'll tell you. Here's what they'll tell you. Most 80-year-old blacks, and I guess most 80-year-old whites, are in a position of power. Racism has been redefined by many of the left. I think it started with Al Sharpton, that unless you have power, you can't be racist.
Well,
that's in the mind of Sharpton. Of course it is. Of course it is ridiculous.
Definition. But let me finish this point. This racist that everybody's now declared openly racist.
We got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Donald Sterling.
Ahead, quickly,
the fact of the matter is Sterling has made more multi-millionaire black men than Barack Obama and his entire cabinet. Nobody said a word.
All right. Interesting point, Kevin. I thank you as always. We'll see you next time. Kevin Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, we will be joined by Mark Tapscott, executive editor of the Washington Examiner. We'll talk a little Benghazi, and we'll take a look at the role of unions. Don't go away.
It took 34 years to build, but on August 15th, 1914, the Panama Canal was officially opened for business and was quickly crowned one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. The 51-mile-long and 10-mile-wide canal was originally begun by the French, but abandoned after 9 years and the loss of over 20,000 of their workers from disease-infected jungles. President Theodore Roosevelt believed the completion of the canal was essential to American security and prosperity, so he negotiated with the French to purchase the canal's properties and dredging equipment. But when negotiations with Colombia over a canal treaty broke down, Roosevelt backed a local bloodless revolution that lasted only a few hours. And on November 3rd, 1903, the nation of Panama was born. With the opening of the Panama Canal, the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans were joined, reducing a ship's journey from New York to San Francisco by 9,000 miles. Roosevelt's vision made the canal a reality, and the feat helped make America a world power. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.